Sending money used to mean waiting. You had to wait for the bank to open, wait for approvals, wait for funds to clear. It was a whole process. Crypto promised to change all that, to make it instant. But by taking the banks out of the picture, it left us with a pretty fundamental question. If there's no bank account, where does your money actually go?
So here's the game plan for this explainer. First, we'll tackle that core problem crypto addresses were built to solve. Then, we'll get a solid definition of what they are. After that, we'll break down step by step how they're created, from scratch. And we'll wrap up with the most crucial part, the rules of safety.
All right, let's dive right in. Let's start with the big why. Why do we even need this thing called a crypto address in the first place? And this right here is the central puzzle. In a world with no banks, no IBANs, no account numbers tied to your legal name, how does value actually get from point A to point B? What even is the destination?
Well, that brings us to our answer. Let's break down exactly what a crypto address is, in the simplest, most straightforward terms possible. Honestly, the best way to think about a crypto address is like a digital mailbox. It's a totally unique destination where anyone can send you money. But, and this is the key part, only you have the key to open it. It has nothing to do with your name or your identity. It's just a location.
And here's a really important relationship to get straight. Your crypto wallet, the software you use, it can create and manage tons of different addresses. That's actually great for privacy. But any one of those addresses will only ever belong to one single wallet. Okay, and let's just address the elephant in the room. They look weird, right? Like someone just smashed their face on the keyboard. But that crazy string of letters and numbers isn't a bug, it's a feature. They look like that because they're the result of pure mathematics, designed for security, not to be pretty.
So how does that math actually work? Let's take a walk through the step-by-step journey, from a completely secret piece of information to that public, shareable address you can give to anyone. It all happens in three main stages. Everything starts with something called the private key. That creates a public key, and that is then turned into the final address. Let's look at each piece of that puzzle. Everything, and I mean everything, begins with the private key. This is not just a password, it is your ownership. It's a massive 256-bit number. We're talking about a number so astronomically large that the odds of guessing one are basically zero. This is literally the key to your digital vault. And I cannot stress this enough. If someone gets their hands on your private key, your crypto is gone for good. There's no password reset, there's no bank to call. This is the one secret you have to protect like nothing else. Never, ever, ever share it. Now, from that secret key, we create a public key. The best analogy for this is perfect. Think of your private key as a master key. That master key forges a unique lock, and that lock is your public key. You can show that lock to anyone in the world, but it's impossible for them to look at the lock and figure out the shape of the key that made it. It's a one-way street. The next step in this process involves something called hashing. And honestly, the best way to think of hashing is like a digital blender. You can toss anything in there, your public key, a sentence, an entire book, and it will churn it all up and spit out a unique, fixed-size digital fingerprint. But you can never, ever take that blended soup and figure out what the original ingredients were. And this slide right here shows you just how incredibly powerful this is. Look, the word hello in all lowercase gives you one specific hash. But if you change just one tiny thing, make that H a capital H, the output becomes completely, totally unrecognizable. That extreme sensitivity is what makes it so unbelievably secure. So, to get to that final address you can actually use, the long public key gets put through that hashing blender and then encoded. This just makes it a bit shorter and adds some extra features. But the flow is always the same. Private key makes the public key, which makes the address. You can never go backwards.
Okay, so we know how an address is born. Now let's talk about how to use one safely in the real world. This is where it all gets very practical. So you might be wondering, is it really okay to just give this out? The answer is yes, absolutely. You can and you should share your address freely. Why? Because it's basically a receive-only piece of info. It's like telling someone your email address or where your mailbox is. They can put stuff in, but they can't take anything out because they don't have your private key.
Now, as you explore crypto, you're going to notice addresses don't all look the same. Bitcoin addresses might start with a 1 or a BC1. Ethereum addresses always start with 0x. And Solana is just this long, random-looking string. But here's the thing. Even though the formats are different, the underlying cryptographic principles we just talked about, they're exactly the same.
And now, for the scariest, most important rule in all of crypto. On the blockchain, there is no undo button. If you mistype a single character and send your funds to the wrong address, they are gone, forever. There is no customer support line to call. There is no one who can reverse it. The transaction is final.
Thankfully, there's a small safety net. A lot of address formats include something called a checksum. You can think of it like a built-in typo detector. If you accidentally change a character, a good wallet will say, hey, wait a minute, this address isn't valid. But, and this is a big but, it only protects you from sending to a non-existent address, not a valid but incorrect one.
You hear this all the time, that crypto is anonymous. It's not. It's pseudonymous. And the difference is huge. Sure, your real name isn't attached to your address, but every single transaction that address has ever been involved in is recorded on a public ledger for the entire world to see and analyze.
So let's end with what might be the single most important distinction of all. Your seed phrase, those 12 or 24 words you write down, that is the master key to all your private keys. It is the ultimate secret. A crypto address? That's just a single public mailbox. Share your address, but guard your seed phrase with your life.
So now that you understand addresses, the next logical question is, where do they live? How do you manage them? Well, in our next explainer, we're going deep on crypto wallets. We're talking hot versus cold, hardware versus mobile, and figuring out which one is the right fit for you. And we'll just leave you with this final thought. This technology offers an incredible amount of freedom, but it demands understanding. Because in this space, shallow knowledge can be incredibly, incredibly costly. So keep learning and stay safe out there.